How Americans were cheated out of a 200% increase in their Social Security checks. A very interesting headline. We're going to go into this a little bit, and I'll take issue to some regards. So let's dive into this here. This is from LouRockwell.com, anti-state, anti-war, pro-market. I align myself to some degree with LouRockwell.com. Not entirely, but there's a lot of good stuff in here for sure. A lot of independent, free-thinking people, man. That's the thing. It's like, look, just because you read something doesn't mean you freaking subscribe to their whole viewpoint of the world. But just there's so much more out there, my friends, than just the New York Times, the Washington Post. And sadly, a lot of people say, oh, I've heard, this group of people or that group of people or whatever. It's too bad. Anyway, all right, so this is from Bill Sardi. Not familiar with him, but that's okay. And he says the consumer price index is a bogus measure of inflation. Well, okay. According to economist John Williams at shadowstats.com, the CPI is no longer, the CPI, the government's measure of the cost to maintain a constant standard of living, is no longer measured by the CPI. Nor does the CPI measure for out-of-pocket expenditures such as auto or home repair or medical events, only recurring expenditures. Well, but the reason they do that is because recurring expenditures are what you spend on a regular basis. How do you put, in terms of inflation, auto, home repairs, or what's the other thing you said, a one-time at a medical event? How do you put that in an inflation number to say, hey, at the end of the day, I need this and I need that on a regular basis, but I'm going to need a medical event if I might not or not? I mean, how do you... This is why I talk about the long-term care stuff, why I zeroed out in financial planning, because the vast majority of us are not going to have a significant long-term care event. We're just not. So to put that in terms of your retirement plan is like, well, you could also get hit by a car crash and not be able to walk the next day. How do you plan for something that's unforeseen? You can't, man. I mean, you can plan for having some money on the side. I get it. But you can't put that in your recurring expenses to measure day-to-day inflation. It's silly. And you can't put that in an expense and say this will happen for retirement. You can't, because it's not likely. If it does, well, I hope you have preparation in terms of cash flow and money set aside for true emergencies. But to measure that in terms of your regular discretion or non-discretion, or I guess you could even say discretion, but your day-to-day living costs, it's dumb, man. Because some of us aren't going to have those expenses. This economist Williams reveals politicians force underreporting of official inflation as to cut the annual cost of living to Social Security. Maladjusted inflation rates have been used to create the false illusion of recoveries of the GDP after the 2008 banking crisis that have misled Americans into thinking they are staying ahead of inflation. The CPI is backdated. Beware the revisionist. The BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, that tabulates and issues the CPI is a gall to restate inflation history as if all the recent changes has always been in place. Shadow Stats has employed methodologies in place in 1980 and 1990 and recognized without these substitutions by the BLS, Social Security checks would be more than double what they are today. If you want to know how government is taking more of your money without knowing it, this is it. The Federal Reserve steals money more through inflation than it does through tax increases. Well, the Federal Reserve doesn't steal money through tax increases. That's the politicians. They raise and cut the taxes. However, they were cutting the taxes since basically Ronald Reagan. I mean, let's just admit that. The vast majority of middle-class people don't pay much in federal taxes. The vast majority. FICA, I get it. But if you're making $60,000 or less and you're married filing jointly, you're not paying much in federal taxes, unlike they were in the 70s. So we can say all day long, oh my goodness, they're stealing from us by not truly reporting inflation, which I challenge to some degree. But they certainly haven't stolen from us in terms of tax increases. That's simply not true. Just go back, look, Carter, the 70s, your taxes versus now, it's nuts. And I'm not saying the top tax bracket, I'm talking the actual dollars you paid. All right, so below our shadow statistics chart showing the BLS Consumer Price Index, which is this right here, versus CPI, that the shadow statistics alternate. All right, well, I'm just, like, they can create this, that's fine, but I mean, they're saying 10% a year inflation. Okay, consumer inflation versus, we got, let's see, official CPIs right here, experimental CPI, which you can see flows through official CPI, and their alternate base right here. 1990. So basically, going back to 1980, we have a 10%. Well, we got. I guess we're averaging what 7.5% roughly. Going back to 1990, we're averaging, it's about 6%, and the CPI is about 3 times lower than that. The U.S. never recovered from the 2008 banking crisis. Here, the GDP is displayed the way the BLS shows it. All right, the U.S. has never, whereas what it should be right here. I don't know. I'm not going to read those shadow stats because anyone can go in there and say, "Oh my goodness, look at what I show. This is the true measure of GDP versus this is what the government's telling us." I don't, whatever. Okay. Williams goes on to state, all right, CPI looks again like it has a strong chance of being used as a new Federal Reserve parasite to drain consumer liquidity, ability to turn bank money into cash, like a vampire bat that sucks only enough blood for self-nourishment, leaving its victims alive for future abuse. Expand the example the Federal Reserve Chairman Greenspan often used, where the price of steak rose, consumers would shift to hamburger. So too with higher hamburger costs, as some cash-strapped retirees actually shifted to consumption of dog food. All right, so let's go. Is that true? So let's look at hamburger. We're gonna go inflation rates by category. I wonder if we can find hamburger on here. Hamburger. I guess we can't. No hamburger. So let's go to meat. Lamb and organic lunch meats. All right, there we go. Meats, poultry and fish. Let's go to lunch meats. Let's just gander, shall we? All right, we're gonna go to let's see. All right, lunch meats inflation calculator. This is in 2013 dollars, and we'll say is averaged 1.77% a year since 1997. Lunch meats 1.77% a year. That's not 8. That's not 10%. So let's go back, and we'll say what else we got here. Let's go to lunch meat. Let's just go to basic meats here. What if I go? Let's go to meats, and let's see. The increase since 1935 is 3.66%. Let's go to the increase since 2000. In 2000, it's risen 2.9% a year. The increase in price in meats, 2.9% a year. Okay, so let's go back. That's not 6 or 8 or 10%. I mean, unless the BLS, who's running these numbers, are lying to us about the actual cost, I don't know. I assume we could say, let's go to just beef. See what we got for beef. Does it give us beef? Yeah, beef and veal. All right, there we go. And we'll go back to 2000, just 2000 to get a gauge. Last 21 years. 3.95%. I mean, that's high, but certainly not, that's beef and veal, but certainly not 10% a year. It's just not. Go back to 1980, and we've averaged 3% a year. All right, that would make sense. That's not significant. So, okay, so let's keep going. We'll just do a couple more, and then we'll get out of here. Let's go back to appliances, and this is going to be appliances that decline by 1% a year almost each and every year, and you're going to get appliances, right? Are you not going to get your range, your oven, your fridge, your washing machine, and all that? Of course you are. All right, so let's go to auto service clubs. That's not what I want to do. Oh, let's go to bacon, because always, oh yeah, I love me some bacon. Bacon has risen by a price of 2.2% per year. Now, some of that could be because we're eating crappy food, or I mean, I grant you some of this is because the food we're eating is not good for you. But in terms of mass-produced, freaking, slave trains of the cows and the pigs and stuff. But here's apples. Apples have gone from 1939 to today, 4.75, and then a lot of that you got to factor in for regulation too. Don't forget. The cost of labor is higher now because of all the OSHA regulations, all the minimum wages, all the insane stuff that the government has put on employers. But since 2000, the cost of apples is 2.06 risen. That's just, I mean, look, you challenge that, but I would invite you to do that. All items less food, shelter, and energy. All right, so we need food, we need shelter, we need energy. So that's a pretty good one. So click this. All items we'll just go since I was born, 1970. All items excluding food, shelter, and energy has risen by 3.34% a year. All right, so go to 2000. This thing with globalization, everyone gripes about it, but there are some benefits here. Look, it's only risen by 1.46% a year. All items except food, shelter, and energy, because this is stuff we need on a regular basis: food, shelter, and energy. So, I'll put links in the show notes. You can play around these numbers all as much as you want. So we go to what else he say? We got butter and margarine. He said hamburger. Can we go to steaks? I don't know. Look, I thought they did have hamburger in here. Ham. I don't want ham. Maybe not. Let's just see if we got steaks in here. I guess that'd be part of beef, right? All right. I don't see any steaks. What else would be a good one here? Tomatoes, no. Now let's go to tools. Tools have gone down by 31 basis points a year. I mean, just because we can get it overseas. I hate to say it, but it's true. Uncooked beef steaks, there we go. Uncooked beef steaks have risen by 3.41% a year since 1997. All right, there you go. Vehicle parts, there's got to be vehicle parts, accessories. All right, vehicle accessories, equipment has gone by 1.88. Well, the cost to fix your car, of course, is going to go up, man, because less people are getting involved in that stuff. It's just upholstery is going to be way down, man. 2.25% a year since 1935. Let's see about since 2000. 2% a year. So anyway, I just take a extreme issue with this whole stuff that, oh my goodness, we're going to have 9%, 10%. The people on the left and the people on the right both say this, and you just look outside your window, man. Come on. Actually, do they even have windows on here? Let's see. Let's go to windows. The reality that is on the ground is, I don't know. Window and floor coverings. All right. Yeah, I want window and floor coverings and other linens. All right. Video disc, women's outwear, whiskey at home, vehicle. Let's just go to autos again. Auto. Mobiles, I don't want service clubs, auto repair, something like that. Anyway, I'll put links to the show notes to let you check it out yourself. All right, let me hear your thoughts. We'll see you.